Okay, you're thinking about owning a movie theater. From the lobby, the business can look almost effortless. Sell tickets, fill auditoriums, serve popcorn, and repeat the process every evening. But a crowded building does not guarantee a profitable month, because much of the ticket money belongs to someone else while rent, payroll, utilities, repairs, and debt continue whether the seats are full or empty. This breakdown will show what it takes to acquire or build a theater, how the revenue actually moves, why concessions matter so much, and what separates a durable cinema from an expensive building with inconsistent traffic. The first decision is not the projector or the popcorn machine. It is the type of theater you intend to own. A one-screen neighborhood cinema, a small independent multiplex, a luxury dine-in venue, and a large suburban complex may all show movies, but they are different operating models. The one-screen property has fewer rooms to staff and maintain, yet one weak title can dominate the entire schedule. A multiplex spreads demand across several films and showtimes, but it also multiplies equipment, cleaning, maintenance, and capital needs. A luxury venue reduces seat count in exchange for higher prices and greater spending per guest. A premium format auditorium adds another commercial relationship because the operator may license specialized projection, branding, or sound technology under a long-term agreement. That distinction changes nearly every number in the plan. A converted existing venue may require a smaller construction budget than a ground-up multiplex, but an older building can hide expensive electrical, accessibility, fire safety, roofing, plumbing, and heating or cooling problems. A modern shell may be easier to design efficiently, yet land preparation, structural work, acoustic isolation, sloped floors, restrooms, kitchens, parking, and local development requirements can push the total investment far beyond the equipment visible to customers. There is no responsible national startup figure for a movie theater without specifying the city, screen count, building condition, lease structure, seating plan, and technical standard. That is why this channel focuses on ownership economics rather than impressive sales totals. A theater can report millions of dollars in annual revenue and still leave the owner with little cash after film rental, occupancy costs, labor, maintenance, financing, and reinvestment. The useful question is not how much money passes through the register. It is how much remains available after every required claim on that money has been paid. Start with the property. Many commercial theater operators lease rather than own their buildings. A lease reduces the amount of capital tied up in real estate, but it creates a fixed obligation that may last for years and may be difficult to escape if attendance weakens. The operator may also be responsible for common area charges, insurance, property-related reimbursements, repairs, or scheduled rent increases. A landlord contribution toward construction can reduce the opening cash requirement, although those incentives are normally tied to a long commitment and specific completion terms. Buying the property offers control and possible long-term equity, but it requires a larger down payment, financing, taxes, building maintenance, and a location that still works if the theater operation changes. The site must serve the audience before the first ticket is sold. A downtown theater may benefit from walkability, restaurants, and public transportation, while paying higher occupancy costs and competing for evening parking. A mall location can receive traffic from surrounding tenants, but the cinema inherits some of the mall's health. A suburban complex may offer space, visibility, and parking, but becomes heavily dependent on driving patterns and nearby household demand. A small town venue may face lower property costs, yet a limited population gives it less protection when the release calendar is weak. The owner is not merely choosing a building. The owner is choosing the size, habits, income, travel time, and entertainment alternatives of the customer base. A full feasibility study should also test traffic patterns, nearby competitors, population growth, planned development, and whether local customers already travel elsewhere for premium screens. Then comes the physical conversion. Auditoriums require more than decorative walls and a screen. Each room needs sightlines, acoustic treatment, emergency exits, accessible seating positions, ventilation, lighting controls, electrical capacity, and surfaces that can withstand constant public use. The lobby needs ticketing, food preparation, storage, refrigeration, waste handling, and space for queues without blocking circulation. If alcohol or expanded meals are part of the model, the project may add kitchen ventilation, grease management, health permits, specialized insurance, and a more experienced staff. These costs belong in the construction budget before opening, not in an optimistic future upgrade list. Projection and sound are capital assets, not permanent purchases. Digital servers, projectors, lenses, screens, amplifiers, speakers, control systems, and network equipment have maintenance requirements and finite useful lives. A theater may operate older equipment successfully, but it must still meet distributor delivery and playback requirements. A premium upgrade can improve pricing power and customer perception, although it can also create ongoing licensing, maintenance, or revenue sharing obligations. IMAX, for example, reports both sales or lease arrangements and joint revenue sharing arrangements with exhibitors, showing that premium technology can be financed through more than one contract structure. The correct comparison is not simply the purchase price. It is the total cash obligation over the contract term, including installation, service, upgrades, and any share of box office performance. Seating creates another trade-off. Traditional fixed seats maximize capacity. Recliners use more floor space, reduce the number of sellable positions, and require electrical and mechanical maintenance. The benefit is not automatic. The operator is betting that greater comfort will support a higher ticket price, stronger occupancy, more repeat visits, or additional food spending. That can be a rational strategy in a market where customers value the experience, but removing seats does not create demand by itself. A poorly located luxury auditorium is still a poorly located auditorium, only with more expensive chairs. Before opening, the owner also needs cash that does not become part of the building. Deposits, professional fees, permits, initial food inventory, uniforms, software, payment systems, security, pre-opening payroll, training, marketing, insurance, and utility connections all consume money. Then the operation needs working capitals. That reserve covers the period when customers have begun arriving, but the business has not yet reached a stable pattern. A finance project adds interest and principal payments. A leased project adds rent. Both models must survive slow weeks, technical failures, delayed openings, and a film schedule that the local owner does not control. Now look at the ticket. The theater collects the customer's payment, but it does not own the film. It licenses the right to exhibit the title under terms negotiated with a distributor. The operator records admissions revenue and then pays film rental or exhibition costs based largely on box office receipts. The precise percentage changes by film, market, week, and contract. It is therefore misleading to claim that every blockbuster follows one universal split. Public company results do, however, show the scale of the expense. Cinemark reported that film rentals and advertising equaled 58% of its United States admissions revenue in 2025. AMC reported film exhibition costs equal to 51.2% of admissions revenue in its combined theatrical exhibition markets for the same year. Those are company-wide annual results, not promises for an independent theater, but they demonstrate why ticket sales cannot be treated as owner income. Film terms also create scheduling pressure. A distributor may require minimum play periods, showtime commitments, auditorium placement, or other booking conditions. A major release can bring valuable traffic while demanding a relatively expensive rental arrangement. A smaller title may carry a more favorable percentage but attract fewer people. The operator is continuously balancing attendance, ticket yield, contractual commitments, and the opportunity cost of using a screen for one film instead of another. A multiplex has more flexibility because it can move titles between auditoriums. A single-screen theater has fewer options and therefore greater concentration risk. This is where concessions enter the model. Food and beverage revenue is not free profit, but its direct product cost is usually far lower than the film cost attached to admissions. In 2025, Cinemark reported United States concession supplies expense equal to 18.9% of concession revenue, while AMC reported food and beverage costs equal to 19.6% of food and beverage revenue. Those figures do not include every labor, rent, utility, credit card, or overhead costs needed to operate the concession stand. They still show why snacks, drinks, and merchandise can contribute more gross profit per dollar of sales than tickets. The practical objective is not simply to charge the highest possible price. It is to increase spending without convincing customers that the complete visit has become unreasonable. Menu design, portion sizes, bundles, mobile ordering, pickup speed, product quality, and queue management all influence concession performance. A long line can destroy revenue even when demand is present because guests may decide the film is about to begin. Understaffing saves payroll for a few minutes and can lose an entire evening of high-margin transactions. Overstaffing a quiet matinee creates the opposite problem. The concession counter is both a retail operation and a labor scheduling puzzle. Food service can be expanded, but complexity rises quickly. Popcorn, packaged candy, and fountain drinks are relatively simple to store and serve. Hot meals, fresh ingredients, table service, and alcohol introduce spoilage, preparation time, sanitation controls, kitchen equipment, training, and order delivery challenges. A dine-in cinema may achieve higher spending per guest, yet it can also suffer from restaurant problems layered on top of theater problems. The owner must decide whether the market supports hospitality-level pricing and whether the team can deliver food without distracting from the film. Admissions and concessions are only the beginning. Other revenue can include on-screen advertising, auditorium rentals, private screenings, birthday events, gaming, corporate presentations, ticketing fees, sponsorships, gift cards, memberships, and alternative content. Cinemark describes revenue from screen advertising, screen rentals, games, promotional income, transactional fees, concerts, and other special events. These streams matter because the building has time slots that ordinary film demand may not fill. A screen used for a weekday company meeting or a live event can turn otherwise idle capacity into revenue. Subscriptions and loyalty programs solve a different problem: frequency. A guest who visits once a year is difficult to monetize consistently. A member who returns monthly creates repeated opportunities for concessions and provides useful demand data. The danger is discounting too deeply or rewarding visits that would have happened anyway. Membership fees may improve cash flow predictability, but accounting treatment and redemption patterns matter. Public operators commonly defer some subscription or gift card revenue until the related ticket or product is used. Cash received today is therefore not always revenue earned today. Operating expenses continue behind every one of these sales. Payroll covers managers, box office or guest service workers, concession staff, ushers, cleaners, cooks where applicable, maintenance personnel, and technical support. Modern projection is automated, but automation does not eliminate software problems, content delivery, quality checks, equipment faults, or customer service demands. Labor must be scheduled around sharp peaks. Friday evening may require a large team. A weekday morning may require only a minimum crew, but the building still needs supervision, cleaning, safety coverage, and opening procedures. Occupancy expense is equally stubborn. Rent, common area charges, property taxes where applicable, insurance, and building obligations do not fall simply because a film performs poorly. Utilities are also substantial because the operator heats, cools, lights, ventilates, and powers a large public building. Energy use changes with weather, occupancy, showtimes, kitchen operations, and equipment efficiency. The correct forecast should be based on the actual property and local utility tariffs, not a generic national estimate copied from another theater. Maintenance arrives in two forms. Routine work includes cleaning, filters, inspections, pest control, minor seat repairs, plumbing, and equipment servicing. Capital expenditure arrives less frequently, but can be much larger. A roof, chiller, projector, sound component, kitchen appliance, carpet replacement, restroom renovation, or seating refresh. Depreciation may spread an asset's accounting cost over several years, but the replacement invoice still demands cash when the equipment fails. A profitable income statement can therefore coexist with tight cash flow if the business has not reserved enough for reinvestment, insurance, payment processing fees, security, software, licenses, music or content-related obligations, marketing, and professional services add more layers. Debt makes the timing tighter. Interest reduces profit, principal repayment consumes cash, and loan covenants may limit flexibility. An owner who contributed labor may appear to earn more than a manager-operated theater because the business is not paying a full market salary for that work. That is not the same as passive profit. To compare two theaters honestly, the owner's labor should be valued and manager compensation should be included when the goal is scalable or absentee ownership. Seasonality magnifies every fixed cost. Movie attendance is driven by the strength and timing of releases, holidays, school calendars, weather, competition, and local behavior. Strong films can concentrate enormous traffic into a small number of weekends. Weak periods can leave the same rooms nearly empty. The theater does not produce the content and cannot force studios to release a stronger slate. AMC's 2025 filing said 7 large distributor groups generated about 83% of its United States admissions revenue. That concentration illustrates how dependent exhibitors remain on a relatively small group of content suppliers. The exclusive theatrical window is another variable outside local control. Before streaming reshaped distribution, films commonly remained exclusive to cinemas for much longer periods. Today, the timing varies by title, and some films can become available for paid home viewing within weeks. Theater trade groups have argued for a more consistent minimum window because early home availability can weaken urgency. The owner must evaluate the market as it exists, not assume that every title will enjoy months of exclusivity. Consider Maya, who is reviewing a 6-screen suburban theater offered for sale. The broker emphasizes annual revenue, recent renovations, and a strong weekend. Maya does not begin by applying a profit percentage to sales. She separates admissions, concessions, and other revenue. She requests film rental history by title, concession product costs, payroll by day part, lease terms, utility bills, maintenance records, equipment age, loyalty activity, deferred gift card obligations, and capital expenditures that the seller postponed. The first version of the deal looks attractive because the theater produced positive operating income. The second version is less comfortable. Maya adds a market salary for the owner's management work, replaces an unrealistic maintenance allowance, includes debt service for her proposed acquisition loan, and reserves cash for a projector and air conditioning replacement. She then tests a weaker release quarter and a decline in concession spending. The theater may still be viable, but the amount she can responsibly pay is lower than the headline revenue suggested. Her analysis does not prove the business will succeed. It reveals the conditions required for it to survive. Break-even should be calculated from those conditions. Start with fixed cash obligations, rent or mortgage, base payroll, insurance, software, minimum utilities, professional services, and scheduled debt payments. Add realistic maintenance and capital reserves. Then estimate contribution from each revenue stream after its direct cost. Admissions contribute only after film rental and related direct charges. Concessions contribute after product costs and the incremental labor required to serve them. Other revenue has its own direct expenses. The resulting model can estimate how many guests, at what average ticket and concession spending are needed to cover the month. Capacity is not the same as demand. A theater with 1,000 seats across all auditoriums does not possess 1,000 customers. Showtimes create theoretical inventory, but unsold seats disappear when the film begins. Increasing the number of showings can improve convenience, yet each showing requires energy, cleaning, labor, and screen time. Premium pricing can raise revenue per guest, but excessive pricing can reduce attendance or concession purchases. Discount days may fill slow periods and support food sales, but they can also train customers to avoid full-price visits. Every lever interacts with another. Expansion should come after one location has repeatable operating controls. A second theater can create purchasing leverage, management opportunities, and geographic diversification. It also doubles exposure to leases, equipment, staffing, and film demand. Large chains benefit from scale in procurement, technology, marketing, data, and distributor relationships. An independent can compete through curation, community ties, flexible events, distinctive food, historic character, or exceptional service. Copying a national chain without its balance sheet or purchasing power is rarely a strategy. Resale value depends on more than the screens. A buyer will examine normalized cash flow, lease duration, transfer rights, property condition, equipment life, market competition, customer loyalty, and required future investment. A theater with growing revenue but an expiring lease may be less valuable than it appears. An owned building may carry real estate value separate from the operating business, but property appreciation should not be confused with theater profit. Specialized construction can also limit alternative uses, which affects what the asset is worth if cinema operations stop. So is owning a movie theater a good business? It can be, but it is not a simple ticket selling machine. The strongest models give customers a reason to leave home. Control occupancy and labor carefully, protect concession quality, diversify screen usage, maintain enough liquidity, and reinvest before the experience deteriorates. The weakest models depend on constant blockbusters, understate capital replacement, confuse revenue with cash available to the owner, and carry leases or debt that leave no room for a disappointing quarter. Current industry evidence is not a story of automatic decline or guaranteed recovery. Cinema United reported that 77% of Americans aged 12 to 74 saw at least one movie during its 2025 measurement period, while loyalty subscriptions and frequent attendance increased. The same organization said North American theaters spent more than $1.5 billion on upgrades over the prior year. Those figures suggest continuing demand and active investment, but they do not prove that every location is healthy. National audience interest cannot rescue a poor site, an expensive lease, neglected equipment, or weak execution. The practical lesson is that the film attracts the visit, but the complete business monetizes the visit. Tickets, food, premium formats, memberships, advertising, rentals, and events must collectively cover a building with high fixed costs and ongoing capital needs. A sold-out Saturday can be excellent. It is not the whole year. Ownership succeeds when the surplus from strong periods is preserved rather than mistaken for permanent profit, and when the operation remains liquid enough to cross the slow periods without damaging the customer experience. The next time you enter a cinema, look beyond the screen. Notice the lease-sized building, the climate-controlled auditoriums, the staff preparing rooms, the equipment waiting behind the image, and the retail operation positioned in the lobby. The owner is not merely selling 2 hours of entertainment. The owner is coordinating real estate, technology, hospitality, licensing, labor, and perishable customer attention. The movie begins at a scheduled time. The economics never stop running.